It's time for
DodgerHeads. What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, back from the woods, here joined tonight by Anthony Witrado in his normal place. The Dodgers won today. They won the series. They beat the Rays. Not all good news. We got some negative stuff, I should say, to talk about here. The Padres do keep winning, Anthony, but all we can worry about is the Dodgers took 2 out of 3 from the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, good series win. Good road trip. They finished, with the winning record, so that's a positive, especially after losing the first series in Boston. Come back and beat Cincinnati and beat Tampa Bay. That's nice. Blake Snell came back, looked pretty good. We'll talk about that. Looks like Freddie is getting back on track. So yeah, some positive stuff along with some of the not so positive that we'll talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We have a ton to get to. We're going to talk Mookie Betts because I think some people have some thoughts and some questions. Tommy Edman injury update. We're going to talk some of the new and returning guys, Blake Snell, Brock Stewart, Blake Treinen, as well as an injury update from Ha-Seong Kim. Of course, we'll get to some questions towards the end of this show. I understand some people did not like my take on s'mores, so we can break all that down for anybody who's interested about an hour from now. First, I want to encourage people, though, if you have not already, please subscribe. Ring the notification bell. As I've said, we are nearing 90,000 subscribers. We'd love for you to help us get there. So go ahead, click the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. Tell your Dodger fan friends about us. We are live Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and we would love to have people join us now that we are sort of approaching the stretch run. Post-trade deadline, to me, is kind of like the stretch run. I know early August maybe doesn't qualify, but we're getting closer and closer to that. I also want to shout out our guy, Matt Borelli. You've all probably read his stuff over on DodgerBlue.com. He was at the stadium covering the team for us this past weekend, did a great job. So shout out to Matt Borelli. We appreciate the work that you did. And it's, again, we like to tell people we do have credentialed reporters that are at these games covering these games. So shout out to Borelli for covering that. So let's talk briefly, Anthony, before we dive into the Mookie Betts stuff. Let's talk briefly about the series that just wrapped up. We're going to dive into Blake Snell, but Yoshinobu Yamamoto was great today. The offense wasn't perfect, kind of scratched across their first run in 19 innings, but what was it? Was it two out of 3 shutouts for the Dodgers pitchers in this series against the Tampa Bay Rays in that crazy little ballpark? So pitching did their job in this series. The offense did just enough, but the key, again, they take 2 out of 3.
Yeah, it was nice. Tampa Bay's been a sort of up and down team this season. And I think it could have been 3 shutouts in a row if it weren't for right field over there at Old George Steinbrenner Field, because Blake Snell got a couple of pop-ups that ended up leaving the ballpark. So, the pitching was great. The bullpen was solid. The big takeaway from the weekend for me is Blake Snell's back. Looked really good. Didn't walk anybody. 8 strikeouts. The rotation outside of Sasaki is essentially back, but the six man band with Sheehan looks really good too. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was going to say Sasaki not being back might be a good thing. The way he pitched at the beginning of the season, obviously we're hopeful for that guy long term, but
we came into the season thinking though was kind of what I was getting at. Yeah, but fair. Emmett being back in there is all good by me because he's been great too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that to me is the positive. Like, again, we can focus on the micro and the short term and kind of like, how did yesterday's game go? How did today's game go? But I think big picture, if you're talking about this team and World Series aspirations, it's seeing the way that Tyler Glasnow has pitched. It's seeing the way that Blake Snell pitched. Yamamoto continues to be great. Like, those are the important things to me. Obviously, wins matter. I'm not discounting that, but the bigger picture stuff Like winning yesterday, but Blake Snell looking terrible, that might make us feel good for 24 hours, but it's going to make us question a lot more whether or not this team has a chance to win. So while you'd like both to be true, at least in the long term, knowing that Blake Snell is dialed. Again, Tyler Glasnow has been good. Yamamoto has been good. Brock Stewart looked good today. So seeing some of the bullpen pieces, Alex Vesia continues to be good. I think long term, the outlook for this team continues to be good. Let's get to a couple super chats here. Baseball Geek 79. How do you assess the infield with Edman's injury and Betts hitting woes? On the chat, Anthony referenced the idea of putting Betts on the IL to get him physically, mentally, and mechanically fixed. So I'll let you go first.
Yeah. I think Freeland coming up and performing in his first series is a good sign for the infield. Freddie returning to what be Freddie levels is huge as well. Not so great with Kim still out. Not so great, obviously, with Betts' struggles, but he's playing a good defensive position, so that's at least good. I think with Rojas being available and Muncy probably coming back, I think the infield is fine for right now with everybody who's available and Freeland being up. So I think that part of it is okay. The Mookie part of it, we're going to get more into that in a second, but yeah, I saw Blake Williams on Twitter too, also mentioned potentially an IL stint maybe being the ultimate kind of last resort in terms of how to fix Mookie and maybe get him back on track. And I'm sort of the same mindset. Jeff and I, we've talked about this before, and I know Matt and I have talked about it, but we've been sort of, at least I know I have been sort of pushing for like multiple days off in a row for Mookie, right? Like, okay, maybe give him a series off, find a series that looks okay that you can give him off, something like that. But outside of that now, I think that hey, if something is bothering him at all, maybe you look to IL him and give him a longer break and a bigger reset than just, a few days here or there.
Yeah. Well, and I think that last part is the key, which is what is actually the problem with Mookie Betts? Because before we start prescribing solutions, right? If it's entirely mental, if it's entirely physical, is it mechanical? Like, I think which of those we actually think is the problem will determine what we think the solution. So I guess my question for you is, you referenced the IL. Would your goal in kind of getting him some rest, would your goal be physical, mental, mechanical? Like, which do you think is the biggest problem for him if you had to guess? We're all speculating. That's the hard part. We don't know. But if you had to guess, because that's what we're here to do, if you had to guess, what is the biggest issue? Is it physical, mental, or mechanical?
Yes. Okay. But I think the biggest issue at this point in this whole situation has to be mental.
Okay.
And I say that not knowing if there's an injury in there or what, but just listening to him talk about it, he seems like he's just absolutely exasperated.
Yeah.
And it's wearing on him. And at that point, it's a mental thing. My thing with the mechanical portion of this is that they've had all of last year when he struggled, all of spring training, and basically all of this season to say, okay, if it is something mechanical, we would be able to identify that and start to work on fixing it. The fact that when he's talking about it now, he's not saying like, this thing is wrong or my timing is off here, or it's not anything like that, which leads me to believe like they don't see anything mechanical that is leading to him producing these kinds of ugly results offensively. And so again, I keep coming back to something that because we talk about like, oh, it's been this long since Mookie has been this bad. And that's all true. And a significant portion of last season as well. Yeah. But I think we sometimes don't mention that line of demarcation from him being one of the best offensive weapons in the National League to being this version of Mookie Betts was that fractured hand. And they say he's healthy and all of that stuff. But I don't think it's a coincidence that after that he completely has fallen off. It was not a gradual decline. And I had a back and forth with somebody on Twitter this morning about like, oh, well, former MVPs fall off the cliff all the time. Yes and no. And also not in the same season, typically.
Not at 32.
And not at 32, and not in the same season where he looked like an MVP candidate and then looked like a replacement level player as soon as he came back from the injury. And so how that hand injury figures into all this, we don't know because they haven't told us, if at all. Some injuries to that area are worse than others. Some guys have said, like, if it's ligaments damage or hamate bone stuff or whatever the case, like, it takes a full year to for them to feel better. We don't think that's what happened to Mookie. At least that's not what they've told us. They've just said fractured hand.
Yeah.
And so where that plays into all of this, we don't know. I'm very curious, though, once this is all said and done, once the season's over, there's no more games left to be played, and Mookie kind of gives exit interviews. Very curious to hear what he has to say about this season.
Yeah. What's tricky too about the timing, and I think we talked about this, is prior to Tommy Edman going down, which was part of the original question, there was some speculation that maybe Mookie goes on the IL when Max Muncy comes back. Well, now it looks like Tommy Edman's going to be that guy, and we're going to talk about that. And so there's not really an obvious move to get Mookie Betts on the injured list to get him a rest. I mean, if you look at the 40-man roster, there is not a single position player who is on the 40-man roster that's healthy right now. So it's not like they have a, James Outman type or, Haesung Kim type that is just sitting in AAA that is on the 40-man roster that could be called up so that Mookie could go and get a breather. So that's the tricky part. Like, it's Kike Hernandez, it's Haesung Kim, and it's Max Muncy. Those are the only position players on the 40-man roster who are not currently on the active roster, and it's all because they're on the injured list. And so regardless of if it's mechanical or if it's physical or if it's mental, unfortunately, it looks like Mookie Betts is here to stay. Now, They could sit him for 3 or 4 days and not put him on the injured list and just say, hey, Alex Freeland's going to play third, Miguel Rojas is going to play short, or I should say Max Muncy's going to play third, maybe Alex Freeland plays short, Miguel Rojas plays second, and we're just going to give him a breather for a series. But that we'll see what happens. 300 says, I'm so concerned about Mookie, though he has Conforto numbers now, so Jeff might be happy. I kid you, Jeff. Look, hey, Conforto, big walk today, folks. Put the go-ahead run in scoring position.
And this, if Mookie does ever end up on the IL, it doesn't have to be like tomorrow, right? It could be like, all right, you know what? He didn't get right in August. Maybe they start September. Maybe Kim is back by that point, something like that. Maybe they say something's bothering him. Maybe something is bothering him, that this is just a situation where he's able to play through it for the most part. I don't know, but his comments to the media just feel like he's a man who's lost.
Yeah,
and is out of answers, out of ideas to try to fix the problem.
Well, let's talk about the quotes, because there's 2 big ones. This was Dave Roberts pregame. He said, I thought Saturday in a vacuum, I thought he had a good offensive day. I really did. I thought he had good at bats. I thought he squared the ball up. Other days, it looks like he's lost. I know he's frustrated, obviously, at a point now where he wants results, which I can appreciate, but hopefully he can build on the at-bat quality from yesterday and go from there. Of course, that did not happen. And then Bill Plunkett had this quote from Mookie Betts, I believe post-game today, quote, I'm out of answers. I've done everything I could possibly do. It's up to God at this point, which is just the ultimate quote. But that goes to show, it doesn't seem mechanical, because he's telling you, I've tried all the mechanical stuff. I've tried this, I've tried that. Now, Freddie Freeman, it took him a while to tweak some things and to finally get right with his swing, but this is an extended stretch for Mookie Betts. The thing that I keep coming back to that is so baffling to me, Anthony, and maybe the answer is just small sample size, Mookie Betts was the Dodgers' best hitter in the postseason last year. He had the highest OPS and the highest weighted runs created plus, right in the middle of this 12-month stretch that everyone talks about, which, again, Blake and I talked about this 9 months ago, and I think I'm not trying to take credit for everything. I think I was the first person to pull up the from June 1st on dates for Mookie Betts that is now 12 months. But right in smack in the middle of that, in the time of the season when it is supposed to be hardest to hit and where even the best players look stupid at some points, Mookie Betts had a 950 OPS, and he was the best hitter on the Dodgers, the team that went on to win the World Series. So do we just shrug that off as small sample size batted ball luck, or what do we do with that?
Yeah, I mean, it is small sample size, especially when you take a step back and you look at it's been more than a full calendar year now, but a full month isn't small,
right?
It is something to look
against
at
the best pitchers in baseball,
totally, and under the brightest of spotlights, right? And so there is something to that. But and to your point about Freddie taking a while too, the one thing that's interesting here is that Freddie from the start was sort of when he did go into that dip. He said he didn't feel right. The timing was bad. He was saying things like that, which led you to believe that they believed it was mechanical, and he was just trying to figure it out again. Yeah. With Mookie, they've never really said those kinds of things. At times they have said like, oh, we're working on this or we're working on that. But it was never like the whole ball, right? It was never like, this is the thing that we believe is wrong with him. It's, whatever the mechanical piece of this is. It's always just been like, first it was the illness, and then it's been just sort of a rolling
broken toe.
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm sure is also not helping him. But it's just been sort of a rolling, constant stream of like, we don't know what the hell is going on here. Yeah. And so, I don't think we get. I said this before. I don't think we get Mookie that we have come to know and love as Dodger fans again this season. Maybe in October he can find it and turn it on again. That would be quite something. Yeah. But I also don't think that, at least for me personally, I'm not ready to write him off and be like, okay, he's just a former superstar in decline now, and for the rest of this contract, he's going to be trash. Yeah, because like I said, the break in from great to terrible was too hard. Yeah, and typically these things happen at least a little gradually, not just immediate.
Yeah. I'm with you. Here's some numbers, by the way, on Mookie Betts. Over the last 3 months, his batting average in the month of, May was 258. June was 240. July, he hit 205. He has just 3 home runs in his last 247 plate appearances. That's dating back to May 20th. So 2.5 months, he has 3 home runs. He has a slugging percentage under 300 in that stretch. One number that I'll just throw out there for some context: out of 158 qualified hitters, when it comes to batting average on balls in play. Now, in general, batting average on balls in play is believed to be a measure of luck. The idea is that most of the time, if you hit a ball in play, obviously exit velocity can impact this. But in general, when you put a ball in play, it's fairly straightforward whether you get a hit or not. And so to have a very low batting average on balls in play is considered to be very unlucky. A very high one, very lucky. He has the 5th worst batting average on balls in play in all Major League Baseball. Now, he's not very fast, and he's not hitting the ball very hard. So those two things would make your batting average on balls in play low. I'll note that Michael Conforto has the 2nd worst batting average on balls in play among qualified hitters. So some bad luck there. But again, his exit velocity is 27th percentile. His hard hit rate is 16th percentile. So he's not doing himself any favors. Peter has a question. He says, cheers from Japan. Mookie's bat speed is haunting him this season and part of last season. The metrics have proven it. How do you even fix that? Here's what I would say about the bat speed real quick. Yep. Yes, his bat speed is bad this year. And yes, it was bad last year. All of the batted ball data on the whole of last year was very good. So I think it is oversimplified to say low bat speed, bad hitter. Because Mookie Betts had basically the same bat speed last year, one of the worst in Major League Baseball. And all of the exit velocity, hard hit rate data was good. Now you could say, oh, well, he accumulated all of that data at the beginning of the season. Okay, well, then he was accumulating bat speed data at the beginning of the season too. And so if it was good enough at the beginning to overweigh all of the bad, then how do we deal with the bat speed? So I think bat speed is not helping him, but I think he has proven that he can make it work with low bat speed.
Yeah, you're right. And he's never been a high bat speed guy. He's never been elite at that.
He's been better. He's been better.
Absolutely.
But yes, never
absolutely.
Great.
But he's never been like just elite Ohtani, O'Neal Cruz levels of where he's ever been with that. And the other thing is too, I think like some of this approach that we've seen, like he's just sapped of any power right now. Right. So you're seeing balls that he hits and like you're thinking, oh, that Mookie Betts hit a ball like that. It looks like that on TV. That ball should be out. And it's a pop fly. And a lot of to a little bit of the bat speed thing too is he's getting beat on a lot of fastballs, and you're seeing those lazy pop-ups to right field, shallow right, second baseman's catching it, or the right fielder's coming in to get it. So there's a lot of that. We're all seeing it, and it's frustrating. There are things that he can do in the offseason to train that to get better. And, whether he did that this last offseason and then the illness happened and then it sort of, derailed all that, I don't know. But there are things that guys can do to try to improve that. Again, he's 32, he's not 38. And so like there still should be something in the tank for him. I think the other question too surrounding this whole situation is where he hits in the order. Right. And that's sort of the big elephant in the room for Dave Roberts right now. He moved him out of the leadoff spot today for the first time in a while. I think it's been about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks or something like that. And he has not been good. And he moved him to second, which obviously everybody still thinks is too high. So, Jeff, your thoughts on this part of it?
Yeah, I think the quote, I'll say this. Blake is the guy that says where you hit in the order doesn't matter. I'm not there with Blake on that. I think it's probably less of a big deal than most people make it out to be, but I do think it matters because there's a reason you put your best hitter first. If it didn't matter, no, not every best hitter would hit in the top 2 or 3. I'll say this, when I read Mookie Betts quotes, I'm out of answers. I've done everything I could possibly do. It's up to God at this point. That to me sounds like a guy that I think for the first time would probably get it if they moved him down in the order. Yeah. Like if they moved him to 6th or 7th, I don't think you would get. I don't think you'd get a hissy fit from Mookie anyways. I just don't think he's that type of player. I know there's some people that just hate him for no reason and think he's that type of player, but I just don't think he's the guy that's going to throw a temper tantrum. I think he's going to get it. And so if it was me, I'm looking ahead at the schedule. I'm with you. I would say, okay, where can I find a gap? All due respect to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, but Monday, August 11th, 12th, and 13th is a 3-game series in Anaheim with an off day Thursday on August 14th. I might tell Mookie Betts, we might need you on the bench just in case because we can't replace you on the roster, but you get 4 days off. And you're going to catch your breath. You're going to work the cage. You're going to do whatever. But I just need you to take a deep breath. Now, that's 2 series from now. That's 3 games against the Cardinals and 3 games against the Blue Jays at home. Maybe some home cooking gets him right. But to me, it would be that. And I would probably have a conversation and say, Mookie, what do you think about moving you down to the 6th spot, to the 7th spot? There's a bunch of guys down there who aren't hitting all that well anyways. And so I think we're ready to have that conversation. And I think if it were me, I wouldn't go 9-hole, but I'd probably say 6th spot, 7th spot, find somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, to the people who think like, oh, Mookie, isn't accepting that, like, this is a guy who, since he has been here, has done essentially everything the team has asked of him, even when they've sort of yanked him back and forth from positions and batting spots and all of that stuff. I do not agree with the fact that like he would let his ego get in the way of something like this. With that said, I think considering the comments he made today, this would be I think that is an open door for Dave to say, let's have a chat. This is what this is what we want to do. And I think anywhere between 5, 6, 7, I think is fine. I probably wouldn't go any lower than 7th. And look, Mookie's still a person. You can say he's a professional, he's making millions of dollars a year, but he's still people. And so like there's going to be that period of acceptance where he has to go, okay, we're doing this. Like, even whether he agrees with it, whether he doesn't, whatever. And giving him that time to process that and go, okay, this is what it needs to be right now for the betterment of the team.
Yeah.
And I fully believe that if that conversation were to happen, Mookie would figure out a way to handle it professionally, and then go and try to continue to do his job like he's been trying to do this entire season. But I do think it's time. And I was a guy who was like, because I do agree with Blake, like over the course of 162 games, it matters fairly little. Now, that's taking into account that you're not so dumb you're going to hit a guy like Shohei Ohtani 8th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are limits to this. But, I think now in a smaller sample in this current vacuum we're in, it does matter right now. Yeah. And so getting a guy whose numbers look as bad as they have since the start of July down in the order, I think makes fair sense. And so
and I think some people are asking, like, how does this help Mookie? I think it just takes some pressure off of him, moves him down in the lineup to where he's not going to be in as many spots that it feels like the game is hinging on what he does in his at bat. I think would be kind of the answer there.
A little bit there. I think hitting 7th, you might come up 3 times a night, on a certain night with runners in scoring position each time. So yes and no. I think it's more so just like, Mookie, we've done everything we can for your psyche and all of that stuff, and it's still not working. So while we still continue to work through this, the team's success is what's important right now. So for you, we're going to drop you. And how that helps Mookie, it probably doesn't, in all honesty, because they've been trying to do this stuff all summer. I think it's just a matter of the team is first. The wins are first right now versus trying to get you right on track, because it's getting later in the season, and we've got to figure this out sooner rather than later. And if this is the case going all the way through September, then, we'll figure out how to handle it when we get to October. But I think for now, unfortunately, it probably doesn't help him much. But this is about wins. You got a team chasing you down right now. And so if he's not producing, he's got to go down.
Ivan says, if Mookie had a 900 OPS, no one would bring up the illness, but because it's sub 700, it must be something. Confirmation bias 101. He's bad this year. Ivan, we appreciate the super chat. I think I understand like the point that you were trying to make, but I would tell you when Mookie Betts goes from a 900 OPS to 660, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask the question of what possibly could have gone wrong and how did we get here? And the fact that he lost 20 pounds in the middle of the season, I think is a real question to ask yourself. Like, I understand if you want to just say Mookie sucks, then you're going to be mad at anybody who finds an excuse. But I don't think it's totally unreasonable for anybody to ask the question, is the fact that he lost 20 pounds a reason why he's not hitting for power all of a sudden? Again, I'm not saying that is the reason he's not hitting for power, but to act like that's an unfair question, to me, Anthony, seems a little too harsh.
Totally. Yeah. We appreciate the super chat, like you said, but I don't agree with this at all. Because first of all, if he had a 900 OPS, then we wouldn't have any reason to think anything was wrong. So we wouldn't bring up the illness or the hand or anything like that. It's the fact that, like you said, he's had such a completely just almost unheard of kind of drop off for a player at his level in the same season that he was playing at an elite level. It's going to lead to hypotheses and theories and things like that. And there are things that we know have happened to him, like the illness. So yeah, it's going to be brought up.
Yeah. 300 says, and Dodger fans, as frustrated as they are, should not boo him at home. In fact, I'd like a standing ovation for him. Absolutely. Mookie Betts should never be booed in Dodger Stadium for the rest of his life.
The guy's been a catalyst for 2 rings for them. Give the guy a statue when he's all done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Scarecrow, by the way, says, wait, not the mansion getting foreclosed. Always a great show, fella. I know. Sorry. We're back. Look, if I would have shown you what was behind the fake background last time, you people would have been worried for my safety about where I was staying and what my situation was. It was just a random room where I was at, but holy smokes, that place had not been dusted or cleaned in years, I don't think. We got some more super chats here. Peyton with the $10 super chat. I missed the trade deadline stream. Overall, I gave them a C because I really wanted them to get a quad type that would consistently get on base, helping out our offense while Mookie fixes his bat. Anthony, I gave them a B-. I can't remember. I think you might have been off by the time we did grades. Was that right?
How would you have graded the show, though? And I heard everyone else's grade, but yeah, I don't think I ever gave mine.
How would you grade the deadline? Peyton says a C.
They were a C for me. I thought they did what they needed to do in terms of like, here are these holes that we have. We're just plugging them, and didn't go over the top to fix anything. Which also, we not to rehash all this, but I didn't think they necessarily needed to go over the top to do anything. So a C is average.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought they had a pretty average to a little slightly above average, like a C plus type of deadline. Considering, I think what they had to pay for the things that they acquired, I thought was pretty good. And so that's why I might go a C plus.
Yeah. I posted later on social media the nuance of, if we're evaluating the moves that they made, strictly the moves that they made, then it was an A, because the value that they got for Dustin May, how little they had to give up to get Brock Stewart, those types of transactions.
Did we lose audio here, Jeff? Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. So I'll step in until Jeff gets back with us. But yeah, for me, I like to Jeff's point about if you just look at these moves in a vacuum, I totally agree with you, dude. I think that the value that they got for the moves that they made was A+, stuff. But in terms of like, okay, team needs and what the Padres did and what the Phillies did and what the Mets did, like in all of that bigger scope of things, I thought a C was fair.
Yeah, I think I'm back. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we got you.
Perfect. Yeah. So value on the moves they made, I think, was an A. But I think if you add in the context, which you should, of like who was available and what they could have done and what it could have cost, then that's where I think it knocks it down to, again, I'd say B minus. I think we're all in the same ballpark. If we're saying B minus, C plus C, I think we're all in the same mix. So but we appreciate the super chat because I think that's a fair question, Peyton, and we appreciate you hopping in. Let's see. We do have a special guest hopping in with us. So congratulations to the no longer the only pessimist on the trade deadline. Matt, did you hear that? Our guy Anthony gave a C, and I'm not saying admin gave themselves away, but whoever the admin was, which clearly isn't Blake, because Blake gave them an A at the trade deadline, seems to have thought Anthony had a good thought there on a C.
I know. The only thing I need to check now with Anthony is if I gave them a low C. Daniel started like there's C plus. Like I need to make sure that Anthony's over on the low C with me and Daniel.
If a C is between 70 and 79,
it's like 73 to 78 if we're doing pluses and minuses here.
Well, I think like if you score a 70 on a test, that's a C minus, right? If you score a 79 on a test, it's a C plus.
Yeah.
I would say I think like 76-ish, right? Like I thought the Brock Stewart trade was underrated. I will say that. And then the other value that they got for the other guys, I thought was pretty impressive in all honesty. I think Freeman and Gomes were cooking right there. But in context of, again, what the rest of the league did and their competitors did, then I thought it was just average considering that they went out and got like some of the elite bullpen arms that were on the market.
I think for me, that all holds true. And then for me specifically, it was more of like, yes, you're counting on like I understand Blake Snell, the type of potential and stuff that's there. Same thing with Glass now, same thing with Treinen. I'm assuming we'll get into Treinen tonight. I don't think you guys have yet. So my concern was the guys you're relying on, like it created more ifs that you're sort of relying on. And then also Brock Stewart has his own sort of injury concerns. And I get anything can happen with anybody, but at least optically, like confirmation bias, if you take a pitcher who has injury history and then he gets hurt, it's like, well, what did you expect? Right? Like, because they could have traded for Yohan Duran or Mason Miller, and one of them could pull their hamstring or something at some point, right? And it's just like, well, that's just baseball. But if something happens with Brock Stewart, it's going to be, well, this is what you got. Like, what did you think was going to happen with a guy who has a long injury history?
Well, here's the good news. Ivan's got a question for us. Does Clayton Kershaw make the postseason roster as a starter if everyone is healthy? And do you trust him in relief? Is veteran respect a reason Mookie Betts doesn't move down to 6? So I'll answer the first one. If everyone is healthy, Clayton Kershaw is not a starter on the postseason roster. You would not need more than 4 starters, and they have 4 starting pitchers clearly above him. Anthony's nodding his head in agreement. Matt, are you in agreement with me on this? Or are you going to zag and say Ohtani's a reliever or something? Where are we going?
Yeah, I like logically this makes sense. I can't see how they're going to sell him on that.
Well, they won't. I mean, I'm not. Like, the bigger question is, would he make the roster as a reliever? And it seems like you're saying he's going to make the roster. Is that what you're saying, Matt?
If he's healthy, I think he's on. I don't think there's any shot the Dodgers keep him off the roster if he's healthy.
Yeah, I agree with you. Anthony?
He's not going to be a starter if everybody's healthy and performing. Essentially, you're looking at Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell, and Ohtani in no particular order. If those guys are all healthy and performing, he's not going to crack that rotation. I don't trust him necessarily. Trust is probably not the right word. I don't think he adds them much value as a reliever, considering some of the other guys who they could put in there, like Sheehan.
Yeah.
And then assuming some health on the bullpen side too. I don't know where he fits necessarily. So I'm iffy on if he would crack the roster at all, in all honesty.
He'd be the most souped up Brent Honeywell the world has ever seen. Is what Clayton Kershaw would
look,
be.
if you're gonna give him that role, big lead, big deficit, something like that, go collect innings. Sure, absolutely, go eat. Yeah, like I didn't think about that role, but if that's the role, then yes, any kind of leverage role, I would be skeptical on.
Unless it's the 9th inning of the final game of the World Series, and then sign me up for Walker Buehler 2.0. That's what I got. What would Clayton Kershaw do? Matt, but I mean, in all seriousness, teams do like to carry. Typically, I think the Dodgers had 3 starters and a long reliever last year. So 4 starters and a long reliever. Although, keep in mind, the Shohei Ohtani rule, they get an extra pitcher than everybody else. So it would basically be the equivalent of last year's roster where you'd have 4 starters, one of whom doesn't count against your roster, and Clayton Kershaw as the long relief guy. Because I think that would be the role. I can't imagine a world where it's like the 7th inning and somebody's struggling with runners in second and third, and you're like, hey, let's go get Kershaw and put him in this game. He just doesn't have the profile.
Yeah, there's that, but also in terms of starter or bullpen, I mean, if they're keeping Ohtani on his schedule, like the postseason schedule isn't out yet, but you might like Kershaw could be on the roster and in the rotation for a potential game 4 or a game 5 because you would need somebody to potentially. And then at that, like if it's elimination, like maybe they decide, hey, we're actually going to go Snell or Yamamoto at this point, something like that. I was
going to say in that situation, they might look at Snell or somebody like that.
Yeah, but at least heading into the series, like you could say, like, hey, this is. I mean, we've seen them do it before when Kershaw was at his prime and they had other stars. I mean, this is what like completely not a full tangent, but part of the reason why Kershaw's postseason stats are the way that they are is because of how much the Dodgers turned to him on short rest, right? Like they went into a series.
Didn't have a bullpen that they could trust because he got left into some games he shouldn't have been in, and then the bullpen coughed it up.
Right. So they go in a series saying, these are our 4 starters. Maybe this time they say 5 because the Ohtani trying to get him his ample rest. And then you just kind of figure it out as it sort of goes. But I think the bigger thing is I don't see a world where if he is healthy, he's not on the playoff roster at all.
Agreed. Again, I think, look, on one hand, you can't say he's going to be off the playoff roster and that they don't have enough bullpen arms, right? Like if you think they're going to have an abundance of relievers that they trust at the end of the season, then we can have the conversation. But keep in mind that with Ohtani not counting, you're basically going to be able to bring 3 starters and 10 relievers onto the postseason roster plus Ohtani. So they're going to have some flexibility, even if Robleski keeps pitching great and Emmett Sheehan gets converted to a reliever. Like I think they're going to be able to make things work and find some room for Clayton Kershaw. We got a bunch of super chats here, so let's get through these. Carlos Garcia, thoughts on Brock Stewart? He looked good. Velocity was up. Anthony, I'll come to you first. This is the high leverage reliever the Dodgers went out and got, and 1 game in, baby, I'm sold.
Yeah, he's looked good. That fastball has more life on it than I realized. I think that was the first thing that I noticed about the outing today was we knew the velo was up, right? He's ticking it up to 97, 98. But he threw a couple down the middle, and I was surprised. Like the catcher was kind of set up middle almost.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I watched the pitch, and I was like, oh, that's why. It's not a straight arrow just right at the glove. It's got a little tail on it. And I think if you're in the box looking at that 97, 98, that's not too easy to square up. So it's not a surprise that he's throwing that fastball as much as he does in the pitch profile in his pitch diet. And then he's been as effective as he has been, because that thing was not, it wasn't normal. Let's just say that. It wasn't Blake Treinen, but it wasn't just a straight dot.
Well, Matt, speaking of, Carlos has another super chat. He said Blake Treinen didn't seem like he had command. Thoughts? This is twice that he has come into a save opportunity and twice that he has not gotten the save and has been relieved and somebody else came in. Tons of swing and miss for Blake Treinen tonight. Unfortunately, when they weren't swinging and missing, the pitches weren't close and he left with the bases loaded. Is this just a rust issue for you?
I think so. I mean, he was gone for so long and they haven't necessarily eased him back into things. They don't have that luck. They don't have that luxury, frankly, with Kirby Yates going on the IL and Tanner Scott already being on the injured list and Evan Phillips not being around, Michael Kopech not being around. So, yeah, I mean, they've thrown it for better or worse. They've thrown him into the fire and it hasn't entirely been pretty. Dave Roberts did say after today's game, and I know you gave our guy Matt Borelli a shout out for being at the stadium this weekend in the fun temperature and, you know, what humidity there was out there. But in the post-game interview that we have up from Dave Roberts, he discussed, you know, not being worried about Blake Treinen. It was only his 3rd game back from the 60-day IL. So not overly concerned right now. But again, like when kind of like no, as our friend Daniel would say, no disrespect to Brock Stewart, but when Brock Stewart is sort of your marquee bullpen addition, it does hinge on Blake Treinen, Kirby Yates, Tanner Scott, all these guys being on top of their game. And Yates just went onto the injured list. Tanner Scott, I know Anthony is a believe it until I see it guy with Tanner. I'm a little bit more optimistic, but not much. And so now, to see Treinen struggle early, like it's concerning in that sense. But yes, it is only 3 games.
I'll say this, the fact that he was getting swing and miss and just couldn't find the strike zone, that is less concerning. That is like the profile of a guy who's rusty coming back. Yeah. If he was just getting crushed and nothing was moving the way that he wanted it to and he wasn't fooling anybody, that would be way more scary to me. D-Nation Life, Anthony says, they got Luka for the future. How you feeling? Were you mad you didn't get invited to the Backstreet Boys concert last night?
I almost crashed it. I was just going to be like, what, I'm just going to go and figure it out when I get to the door. No, look, hey, I'm pumped. Bring it on. He's skinny. He's Luka. He's skinny Luka. He's going to be back to being a top 2 player in the world, baby. Let's do it. I'm hyped. The baby girl already has a gold Luka jersey, so we're ready for the season.
There you go.
They just need to figure out a LeBron trade next is what I'm hearing.
You and me. LakersNation.com for all your Lakers news. Lakers Nation right here on YouTube for all that content. 2 Charlie says we need to give Mookie the Trey Turner standing ovation. It was on August 4th. Matt, I have a terrible memory. Did they give Trey Turner a standing ovation or something?
Last year, or was it last year or his first season? So 2 years ago, I think now, or 3. I don't know how long he's been in. When was he with the Dodgers?
Trey. Oh, Trey. Got it. Okay.
It was his. I'm pretty sure it was his first season with the Phillies, and he was like doing terrible. And so obviously there's a ton of pressure on him because they'd given him the big contract. And so then the fans organized instead of like booing him, like instead of kind of clapping, it was like a full blown standing ovation. That's and right. I think this like Trey Turner, like I just think that's such a corny thing. Like
I was thinking about like when I read that, I was like, Dodger fans give him a standing ovation.
No, it was
but now that you say that, I actually do remember that happening. Yeah.
300 says, I think a lot of teams were forcing the Dodgers to pay the Dodgers tax, but we needed another bullpen arm. Even a guy like Phil Maton. I don't know how to pronounce that last name.
I think it's Maton. I always forget though.
It's all right. It's not a Dodger, so none of us have to be experts.
I'll go first on this. I think that there typically is a Dodger Andrew Friedman tax for a couple of reasons. One, because the farm system has been pretty loaded at the front end for a good number of years now. Also, I think, and this is a real thing I've heard from scouts, when other front offices deal with Friedman, they try to extract a little extra because they feel like if they don't, it's going to end up looking really bad on them in a couple of years. And so they try to get a little more from the Dodgers when Friedman is involved. So there's that part of the tax. But this year, I don't necessarily think so, because you look at what the Padres paid, you look at what the Phillies paid, like you look at some of those deals, and it was just the reliever market was like almost like we've never seen it before. It was crazy, the prices for those arms. So I think it was more of that than the Dodger tax this year. But I do think that one exists from time to time.
That being said, they should have done the Yohan Durant trade.
They'll be fine. No, because then they would have ruined my bold predictions, Matt, when I said no needle moving trades. So
that actually explains it all. We should have known that Friedman was definitely not going to do any needle moving trades. He was watching the show. He saw Jeff's prediction and he said, "Okay, I gotta help out my guy here."
Well, right after he traded Dustin May, like I predicted 6 months ago. So, I mean, I'm just saying Dodger fans in general might have been mad. Your boy's bold predictions up and to the right on trade deadline day. Tyler says, would Ohtani starting pitching a playoff game be worth it if his bat continues to struggle on pitching days? Matt, do you buy the correlation between Ohtani pitching and struggles at the plate?
I mean, the data that all the nerds love suggests that there is
you don't care about the data. I'm asking old man Moreno over here, not the data nerds.
Not too much. What I am buying is Ohtani just needing to be in the leadoff spot. Like, yes, sure, he's comfortable hitting second, but put him back leadoff, all of a sudden he doesn't strike out. So hey, we're trending. What's your up and to the right in that case? To the right,
baby. Anthony, what do you think? Would Ohtani starting a playoff game be worth it if his bat is struggling on pitching days?
Yeah, because I think when he is healthy and he's right, he is a Cy Young candidate kind of starting pitcher. So yeah, I want him in the rotation for the playoffs. And as far as like, do I buy into it? Maybe right now. I think overall for his career, that's not a thing. But I think maybe right now, because he's still getting accustomed, acclimated to everything, maybe there's a little something there. Also, the last time he was a pitcher, the between innings clock and the pitch clock and stuff, I don't think existed. And so umpires are giving him a little bit of grace, but especially in the leadoff spot, he's still rushing if he's pitching at home to get his stuff and get in the box. So maybe a little bit to it this year, but I think overall probably not. And I hope by October, he's kind of settled in, and I don't really think that. Look, for Ohtani, it just takes one swing. So yeah, I give him the ball to take to the mound and also let him hit leadoff. I'm with it.
And I will add really quick, Ohtani wants to do it, and so that's the end of this. That's where it starts and ends.
Totally. Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm with you. And again, I think, Anthony, you make a great point. There's a decent chance that 2 months from now, his body is far more used to the pitching routine and the hitting routine, and kind of like muscle memory is in a much better place. So does that qualify as nerd stats, Matt? If I talk about muscle memory and building up, where does
that one we're good, because that falls in line with there's no measuring heart and all that stuff. So that we're good with that one.
Did you see Jeff Passan's rant the other day about batting average?
I meant to send it to you guys, because he's usually kind of like on the analytics curve, right? But he was sort of stumping for batting average a little bit. So all you nerds.
But then he also said nerds aren't ruining the game, as some people accuse them of.
I didn't see that one.
You skipped the part at the end when he said that was the part I almost sent you. We'll pull it up. We'll save that for later. Peyton's got another super chat. Dave should put Treinen in the 6th or 7th. I understand really needing high leverage guys, but he could have swapped Vesey and Treinen today. I think focusing on lefty-righty matchups isn't as important right now. I just kind of assumed that Treinen was going to immediately become the closer, and he's tried it twice. Like, I bet he tries it again. Like, I bet in 2 days, like, if they have a save opportunity and they're up by 2, like, I bet it's Blake Treinen that's going to be coming through those doors. I just think that's how the Dodgers are handling it. They assume the rust will knock off at some point. Like, Matt, I don't know if you agree or disagree with that.
I do agree. I do still think that they are playing matchups a little bit. And as Peyton says, like, he doesn't think that focusing on the matchups is as important. Or isn't as, maybe I misread it. I don't know. I do think that still will factor in. So if, let's say, the heart of the lineup is due up in the 8th inning and it's right-handed hitters, then we'll see Blake Treinen in the 8th inning, and then they'll figure out, if it's Vesia or Kasparius in the 9th type thing. But yeah, they're not gonna shy away from Treinen in the high leverage. And again, like, much to the chagrin, I know, of all of our viewers and our followers, the Dodgers, and I know I don't want to spark a debate amongst our own staff, but how much they value each game, each night, like, varies. And if they see that it's important to get Blake Treinen an opportunity against some right-handed hitters in a leverage situation, they're going to do it now so that they have that practice, and in his case specifically, that rust out of the way by the time October rolls around. I guess I should say if October, because I know that there's a growing number of fans who are saying the Dodgers aren't making the playoffs this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony, any thoughts here on Treinen and where he should be pitching?
I think right now he's putting him in these positions because he's been their best leverage arm historically of the guys who are available, and so they're trying to get him in that role again. I was fine with it. Slim pickings out there, and I think, like, the Vesia stuff, like, he brought him in the middle of an inning. I think he was the one who replaced Yamamoto, if I remember correctly. Yamamoto, who looked surprised that he was coming out with 2 outs, and but I was fine with it. And I think I agree. I think they probably continue to run him out there as the guy while the options are still limited.
And the other thing too, real quick, Anthony mentioned Vesia. That's a great point. I forgot it was him. Like, they used him for 4 outs, and so there aren't, like, the Dodgers they don't do that with every reliever. Like, there's certain relievers that they do that with. Vesia is one of them. So they weren't going to have Treinen go 4 outs or somebody else necessarily do it.
Carlos with another super chat. Thoughts on Dino's decisions lately? Didn't send Mookie home, did send Freddie home. Seems like at times he's not being aggressive. I recluse myself from all Dino Ebel conversations because I just think I make people mad. So, Matt, I'm just going to give this one to you.
No, I'm going to hit it back to you. Why do you make people mad about Dino?
Yeah, I didn't know this.
I just don't think he's very good. Like,
Oh,
everyone hates that because he's a nice guy, but like, I think he's pretty terrible as a third base coach. That's my take.
Yeah,
I think he's fine.
I think he's fine too. I don't feel strongly either way. I'm a C on Dino Ebel. But as far as these things, I think the ball that Mookie got held on was hit to right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice the dimensions of that park and where the fielders play in there, they play pretty shallow, and the balls get out there really quick and into their hands pretty fast. Like, had he sent Mookie there, he would have been out by a mile. I think because the ball was hit to left in Freddie's situation was probably the reason he sent him. Aside from it was later in the game and they had been shut out for like 19 straight innings or something like that. So I didn't have a problem with either one of those decisions given the context.
The chat points out Dino Ebel is better than the Yankees base coaches, so he does have that going for him. Assuming those guys are still employed. Maybe we should check Twitter to see if they still have a job. Shelly wants to know, how is Bobby Miller doing in the bullpen? The Dodgers still have one of the best records in baseball. That is, the second part is unequivocally true. I have not seen any Bobby Miller stats. Have you, Matt?
Yeah, we actually, I put them in our article that we published today, but let me see. I'm pulling it up right now. So his last appearance was August 1st, and it was 2 scoreless innings, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, no hits. The one before that was 1 scoreless inning, a clean inning. And then his first relief appearance, which was on July 27th, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 strikeout, no walk. So honestly, the biggest takeaway that I took from it when I was compiling the stats for it was that he's not really walking as many guys, because that's been a trouble spot for him. So yeah, I mean, depending on, look, it's iffy, I think, on Brusdar Graterol. If Bobby Miller can stay on this sort of track and trajectory, then he potentially is your secret weapon in October.
Yeah.
What I hear you saying, Matt, is up and to the right.
Yes, that's another way to put it. Correct.
He did not pitch today, but Edgardo Enriquez did, and he got shelled. Jack Little also got shelled. So
the door might be opening for Bobby Miller as a September call-up in the bullpen.
Oh gosh, you want to? That's just gonna. You just dabbed a little bit of honey all over
Anthony's
the door
doing that because he's leaving us soon, and Jeff and I are going to be the ones that have to clean this mess up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, a couple more news and notes. Let's talk. We haven't touched on yet. Tommy Edman exits today's game with a right ankle sprain. The expectation, he has not been placed on the injured list. Yes, there's no real reason for them to make that decision today. It seems like, Matt, Anthony and I touched on this briefly. The expectation is that tomorrow he was likely to go on the injured list, and then Max Muncy will be recalled. Is that a safe bet? Muncy was 2 for 3 today with a home run for Oklahoma City. He was 3 for 3 yesterday. So yeah, I think it's safe to say Max Muncy might be ready to come back in perfect timing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Edman's ankle sprain, I heard you guys discussing Mookie at the opening of the show. I was starting to think, based on Dave Roberts' comments today and just the way things have been trending, that Mookie was going to end up on the injured list either tomorrow or Tuesday, whenever Muncy was coming back. And they were going to, call it, shoulder inflammation, something. They figured out whatever's been bothering him this season. I think with Edman's ankle now happening, that yes, it is certainly Muncy's. That's the roster move for Muncy, and I would be shocked if it doesn't happen on Monday. Again, we do have Tommy Edman's post-game interview up on our YouTube channel, Dodger Blue 1958. He did say, like, we'll kind of see, like, maybe I wake up tomorrow and it's feeling better, but I just think the Dodgers have this issue has bothered him, whether it was inflammation or he aggravated it and now a full-blown sprain. It's been going on for a while, basically all season long, it seems like. So they have the position players. Freeland is holding his own, like he can play. Muncy's ready to come back. Like, it makes sense, honestly, in my opinion, to just put Edman on the injured list and bring him back in September.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And obviously he's been struggling too since the ankle sort of popped up in the first place. So I think that makes a ton of sense there. The other news that I wanted to talk about, and we'll do this right before Anthony is not leaving the show permanently. He's just going to leave a little bit early tonight. He's so pissed about the s'mores conversation that's coming that he needs to leave prior to that conversation coming. But I did want to talk Blake Snell real quick. I wrote in the headline here that Blake Snell impresses in his return to the Dodgers rotation. I had somebody on social media who despite never watching the game, insisted they looked at his box score, and there is no possible way in which he could have been impressive given his box score. So that was a real person that thankfully stopped arguing with me.
You and Anthony have run into some crazy people the last 2 days. Sorry, maybe crazy is the interesting people the last 2 days.
I poked the Padres troll tree like a couple on deadline day when I said the Padres win trade deadlines and the Dodgers win titles. I had Padres fans in my mentions for like 7 days since that one. So I think it hasn't even been 7 days, but however long it's been, they're still coming. But Anthony, the Blake Snell stuff, the whiff rate was like 50%. The swing and miss was everywhere. If not for one home run that only would have been a home run in that stadium, and a second home run that would have been a home run in that stadium, Yankee Stadium, and the Astros Stadium. If not for those two swings, this would have been nearly a perfect day for Blake Snell.
Yeah. I think he said he thought the first one was just a pop-up. It ended up getting out. I know he said the pitch on the second one was better and the first one was worse, but he still thought he got the out. So, yeah, I mean, outside of that stuff, neither of those home runs, which, by the way, were categorized as a hard hit ball. Yeah, I thought he looked fantastic. The no walks thing was – I expected him to be a little more rusty than that. Aside from the swing and miss numbers, the fact that he didn't walk anybody was what impressed me the most too. So, look, this is essentially the rotation we've been waiting for basically all season. Kind of pushing Roki to the side a little bit, but if they go in healthy with these guys throwing the ball the way they've been throwing the ball, that's by far and away the best rotation of any National League team that's going to get put out there. Brewers might be fairly close, but I shouldn't even say close. They'll be good. They don't look like what the Dodgers have, though, I think, if everyone's healthy.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, we're going to keep talking Snell. Anthony, we appreciate you hopping on. As always, we will see you on Tuesday night, so enjoy the rest of your Sunday, my friend.
Yes, sir. I got popping out early. On Mondays, I typically work East Coast hours, so I got a 4:30 wake-up call, so.
There we go. We get it. Enjoy.
I'll see you guys
later. Matt, looking at some of the quotes from Blake Snell just to carry this conversation on, he kind of said a lot of what Anthony just shared. When he was asked his thoughts, he said, hey, I kind of need a debrief, but he said, I liked I was in the zone more than I thought I would have been. You're trying to feel it out again. I liked I was in the zone. I was confident. I knew what I wanted to do. He goes on to talk about the two home runs. The first one he thought was a good pitch, second, bad pitch. But yeah, overall in the zone, curveball will get better. Changeup I was happy with. Slider I was happy with. Fastball command can get better. Things I have to work on, but overall, first start back, emotions, a lot to get better. It was a good start. The worst part is that we lost. I go out there to win, so got to get better and find a way to win. Definitely something to build on, learn from, and get better. He did say his changeup and his slider have been feeling good in the rehab process. I love the quote about pitching in Reno, and he was basically like, nothing moves in Reno. And so like it doesn't mean anything to pitch bad in Reno, which I thought was good. But yeah, he said overall, the biggest thing was getting back, being able to pitch, learn. It's the first one. Happy to get it out of the way and learn. I've got 5 days to see how much better I can get, then go face Toronto and see what work I did to get ahead of where I am now. So it seems like he agrees with the assessment that this was a positive step for him in his return.
Yeah, and I agree with a lot of Anthony said. The biggest thing that I was going to point out as well was that he didn't walk anybody, just because we've seen him, like even when Blake Snell has been, making regular starts every turn in the rotation, that seems to be kind of a downfall of his. So to not walk anyone was certainly encouraging. And then you layer in all the swing and miss and certainly the strikeouts. And that person that you were exchanging with, unfortunately, the box score doesn't have a little note that says, fly balls that turned into home runs because of the stadium. But yeah, I mean, it's, as Anthony mentioned, certainly an encouraging first start back. You put it here, impresses in his return. It was impressive. I know that he was on a rehab assignment, but those can be kind of tough to really gauge. And it's not always a good predictor for what's going to happen once the player comes back. So to see what Snell did was certainly a big boost for the Dodgers, especially as Anthony again mentioned, and you guys have discussed earlier, and recently, this is the rotation that the Dodgers have sort of been looking for. And I know, Roki Sasaki aside, but this group is as healthy as it's been in quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned 44% whiff rate was Blake Snell. So if they swung at a pitch that Blake Snell threw, 44% of the time they swung and missed. That is an absurd rate. Like 30% is incredible. He was 44% in his first start back at the major league level. So incredible stuff. Some odds and ends. We talked Brock Stewart real quick. An update on Ha-Seong Kim. Received a cortisone injection in his shoulder. He is ceasing all baseball activities for a few days. But Dave Roberts did say they are hoping the IL stint is shorter term. They're hoping to get him back this month, it sounds like, Matt. Again, whether you believe Dodgers updates remain up to you. But I take it you are skeptical that Ha-Seong Kim plays in a Dodger uniform in the month of August?
A little bit. I think they're going to see, obviously, with Edman now going on the injured list, and it looks like Freeland is staying up. I think they're going to see how, give Freeland the next week, 10 days, 2 weeks, maybe, to see, like, is he really going to take hold of this role, or is he going to start struggling? If he starts to struggle, then maybe they look to move things along with Ha-Seong Kim. Not that they would rush him, but I think that they will be deliberate, if not more than deliberate, in his recovery for the time being, just trying to, bide him a little bit of time. And I know that it came out like he was playing through it for about a week, but also like his production had sort of started to decline just with the regular kind of everyday role anyway. So I think they'll want to make sure that they don't necessarily, rush him back into that type of situation again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's get to some questions. We got about 15 or 20 minutes of questions. Richard with the super chat to start us off. If you have a question, all caps questions in the chat, and we will get to as many as we can. He says, every deadline the Padres make a splash and every national talking head hands them the World Series. Is it asking too much for San Diego to leave the drama queen act behind? It is asking too much, Richard, because those people trade like their job depends on it on a regular basis. They still have jobs. And look, the Padres are good. I think the Dodgers are as good, if not better, than the Padres. But this is the point I've been making when people praise the Padres for doing what they did. We've been here before. And we've been here before with people being disappointed with the Dodgers. And at the end of most of those days, the Dodgers win and the Padres lose. So I'm not saying that's guaranteed to happen this time around, but history tells us that July 31st is not the determiner of November 1st and the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, it's just another reminder of, you can do everything you can, and there ultimately are no guarantees. Look at what the Dodgers did during the offseason. And they were being accused of ruining baseball with the way they're spending money and this superstar, all-star roster that they're assembling and this, that, and the other. When was the last time you heard the Dodgers are ruining baseball? It's been a while.
Yeah.
Things happen, unfortunately. And so that works both ways in terms of the Padres, yes, making a splash, several splashy moves at the deadline. Like you said, it doesn't mean that they wouldn't necessarily beat the Dodgers in a – I mean, look, the NL West rate, there is an NL West race right now, so we're not sitting here necessarily – well, I know we both have picked the Dodgers to still win the division, but who knows? Like anything, it's baseball and anything can happen. And that also works when the Dodgers are losing 8 in a row in July type thing. And we're saying, hey, like it is possible for them to kind of get on track. Freddie Freeman 2 weeks ago, people, were saying he's old, he's this, he's that, and the other. And now all of a sudden he's back to being Freddie Freeman. Yeah,
absolutely. Carlos asks, any insight on Tommy Case, undrafted free agent? The answer is mostly no, other than, as Jim Callis points out, he signed the largest non-drafted free agent contract in the MLB draft this year. It was $422,000, so 272 of that counts against their bonus pool, a New York high school pitcher. So the fact that they gave him all that money tells you it's probably something. I will point out, we haven't done a ton of draft coverage since. The Dodgers did miss out on Mason Legenza, who I believe was their 6th round pick. A lot of people were excited about. They did sign Sam Horn, who was 18th round pick out of Missouri. He's going to try and play quarterback at Missouri this year. He is behind a guy who's like a big transfer, so he's unlikely to play. But that was not somebody anybody expected the Dodgers to sign. So when they missed on Legenza, I think they were able to get Horn. So we've got that going for us. You're smiling, Matt.
I'm reading a comment. People are fighting with each other. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. They don't like Tommy Case, huh?
No, it's something else.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Let's see. Zenji, assuming the expected flameouts are Shilton Boone cooked this offseason. I love the expected flameouts. I don't know if Aaron Boone makes it to the end of the season, the way this is going.
Did you see, I don't know if I think it was yesterday, I saw a video circulating of his post-game kind of exchange with media after. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the walk-off loss, so I think it was yesterday. And it was... was
this after the Jazz Chisholm thing?
When he got doubled up for first grade? Yeah. So, I mean, Well, Boone did sort of explain it. And it made sense. Like Jazz, I think he said Jazz thought that the Marlins were trying to do like the infield fly rule to get a different runner on first base. And so he was but Boone did say like, you have to still get back. Like you could kind of push the envelope a little bit, but you have to get back. But that whole like post game thing, it was like 6 minutes or something. I watched it. I mean, it's the pressure's intense in New York.
I love it. Yeah. I don't think Boone makes it. Schultz probably fine. But I don't know if Boone makes it to the end of the season. So there you go. Windy City, is Shohei pitching 5 innings next Wednesday?
No, still 4. He didn't complete 4 in his last one because of the cramping in his right hip. So the expectation, and plus, even if he had the pattern the Dodgers seem to have him on is 2 starts of 1 inning, 2 starts of 2 innings, 2 starts of 3 innings. So this would be his second start of at least reaching the 4th inning, and then we'll have to see what comes of after that.
Yeah, there you go.
Which, by the way, his next start, like it's ironic, it's coming on Shohei Ohtani, his ring giveaway at Dodger Stadium on Wednesday, but it's a 1:10 start. Like it's just kind of an odd little situation there with how that lined up.
Eric wants to know if this is the Mookie of the future, how serious does a Kyle Tucker pursuit become? I just think the Dodgers are going to do what they're going to do. I don't think like if Mookie had a 900 OPS, that would change things. So if they go after Kyle Tucker, I think they were just going to go after Kyle Tucker no matter what. They do not have obvious answers in the outfield. So they have that going for them. And Kyle Tucker is very good at baseball. So I don't know. I guess my answer to this is I don't think Mookie has anything to do with the Kyle Tucker pursuit. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I think it could a little bit if there's concern of like an intern, like we don't know internally, but if in privately the Dodgers are a little worried over what his production, like if his production is this level for the rest of his contract, like that's a serious, like he's not the star that you got. And I'm not saying that it's going to be, but if they believe that, I think maybe it would entice them to be a little bit more aggressive, but I don't think it's going to say, well, we were going to spend 300. I mean, it would take more than that, but we were going to spend 300. Now let's spend 500 million because of like, I don't think it's that type of thing, but I think it could influence them a little bit.
Noisy Ninja said, Mookie deserves grace for helping us get 2 rings. Absolutely, by the way. His contract is already paid for itself. Period. End of story. Just so we can all get that out of the way, Dodgers fans. If Mookie's power is sapped, why does it seem like he's only trying to hit home runs? Is a change in approach hard during the season? I would imagine a change in approach is fairly hard during the season. Guys have tweaked their mechanics all of the time. But when you have a swing that is designed to lift the ball, and now you're trying to tell yourself not to lift the ball, first you have to accept that your power is gone. We don't know if Mookie has just accept I'm never hitting home runs again. And then secondly, you would have to change your bat path. So I would imagine timing wise, you can change things, load, you can change things. But as far as like get the ball in the air, don't get the ball in the air, that feels like a harder thing to change.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, hitting in period is hard, even when you're feeling good and dialed in. And I know I saw you and Anthony discussing a lot of the, different possibilities with Mookie. One thing that I did note, because I do remember him being extremely hot last season and then his hand fracture happening and that sort of throwing him off and maybe having a part in where we're at right now. I went back, though, and looked at his splits for 2024 and his, can I say OPS? Does that fall into my category?
Or 3 letters, it seems like, but I think it's the pluses and minuses that you get mad about.
Then I'm just sticking with OPS. So not a nerd stat here. So we're good. It was over 1,000 for March and April, and then down to like 730 something in May.
Yeah.
June, it went down to like 707. So there was sort of already a decline before, and it was like 16 games before he got hit. It went back up in August. So it's just like, I think it's a combination of everything, and maybe first and foremost, it might be mental.
Yeah, that's what Anthony said. So there you go. Let's see. GI wants to know, how comfortable do you feel with having Mookie, Rojas, and Freeland as your only healthy infielders on the roster? I see the best shortstop on the team in that list, so they're fine. Do you want to tell the people who that is?
Oh, they know. People know.
Freddie Freeman is an infielder. I'm assuming you're talking middle infielder here. Max Muncy is coming back. So they have some other.
It says Freeland.
I know. I said Freeman. Yeah. He said infielders. If we're talking middle infielders.
Okay. So yeah.
3 middle infielders is different than 3 total infielders.
There we go. Yeah. He is saying. I did. Yeah, he clarified. Yes, middle infielder.
Yeah. Freeland's been good. So there you go. I know some people aren't huge fans of Alex Freeland. I'll let themselves remain silent unless they choose to identify themselves. But, there you go. This is a question for you. When is the Joe Kelly audition happening?
I don't know. I wondered that too. Like there was the report that he was going to be throwing for the Dodgers, and it was leading up to the trade deadline.
They've been on the road. I think they said when it was coming home. So presumably maybe Monday or Tuesday of this week.
Well, but I mean, the front office yeah, I guess, but like, unless Dave and I guess the pitching coaches want to see it too, if it's going to be kind of signing him on site type thing. But yes, I assume then it would be happening shortly, and then the signing would be to follow.
Hawaiian Kira wants to know if Mookie is the same by the end of the season. What are your predictions for the lineup order for the postseason? So Shohei batting leadoff. Who would you bat second if Mookie is?
I mean, I maybe put Will Smith there.
Yeah.
And I would put Freddie Freeman, but they love the left, right, or right, left, right, left. Like they will, and they are insistent on that. So I think maybe it's almost Will Smith and then Freddie Freeman. And then you hope Teoscar Hernandez has it going enough to be your cleanup hitter, and then Max Muncy, and then Pages. And then, I mean, then I guess I'd have to figure out where Mookie is, because that's pretty low. I don't think they end up hitting Mookie lower than like 6th.
Yeah, I said 6th or 7th. Yeah, it's tough because on one hand, you like Will Smith's on base percentage in that 2 spot, but at the same time, he's like the best hitter in baseball with runners in scoring position. And so you kind of like having him in that 4 hole as well. But yeah, I mean, I guess you could do Muncy in the 2 and then Freeman 3 and Smith 4. That's probably what I would do. And then, like you said, maybe it's Pages 5, Mookie 6, and then Conforto and some guys after that. Sign stealing scandal. Do you think people underestimate the effects of Mookie's size and his diminished game? Altuve, the only guy in his stature in recent memory with elite play into old age. I've seen this a lot in the chat. It seems like being 5'9", just starting to matter overnight seems like a hard place for me to get to if that's the reason. If you wanted to say like over time, but going from like absolutely elite to terrible in like 24 days, I don't think that's because you're 5'9", my view.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
also for the record, as somebody who's about 5'8", so take this with a grain of salt, maybe.
I agree. I mean, regardless of Mookie's stature, like the sudden drop off would be jarring. No matter what. Like he could be Aaron Judge's size, and people would be saying, "What is going on here?" Maybe it's more concerning because he is his 5'9", and this is already happening instead of maybe 2 years from now, and it's not been a steady decline. Like I said, I think the hand, maybe, I know Mookie hasn't brought it up, as Anthony mentioned, but the hand could be an issue. Like that could have thrown off his mechanics, gotten him. I mean, look, as much as he found it in the postseason, like he said, he was taking hundreds of swings every single day to try to figure it out. And I think some of that, him quote unquote figuring it out, was sort of his talent shining through and kind of just getting hot at the right time. And we've seen other players do that. So I mean, it's definitely, it's a puzzling situation. The hand fracture, the virus, I think all of it mixed together is just, amounted to kind of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question from Manuel in the chat, Matt. He wants to know what you think of my s'mores take.
Was that was from him specifically?
Yeah, Manuel said that specifically. I can't find the chat. Otherwise, I'd put him up here.
No. Yeah, I think I saw it. I saw it too when I was scrolling through. I mean, I don't.
I said s'mores are totally overrated, by the way. That was
I know. And then when you hopped off, we were putting together your list of things you hate again. So cheese,
don't hate that.
S'mores.
Had pizza today.
I couldn't remember what else was.
I will never defend the s'mores.
Was on there.
Here's my take on s'mores. In theory, great. People love making them. They love the idea of s'mores, but the actual taste and eating of s'mores is a borderline unenjoyable experience. Other than the lie that you're telling yourself because camping is fun and the campfire is awesome and making s'mores is fun, the actual eating of s'mores is both a mess and doesn't taste that good. That's my take.
I'm indifferent. Like, look, I don't love them. I don't hate them. So I'm not quite to your side. I'm per usual. I'm bringing the balance to our show yet again.
Yeah, there you go. David had a question. Manuel didn't ask that. He hates that we talk about food, so I was just messing with him. He probably left before that. David said, Jeff, what's the best thing you ate on your camping Boy Scout retreat? S'mores, ? No. It was camp food, but man, one morning they had French toast and bacon, and French toast is just downright elite. Love me some French toast. Have we talked French toast, pancakes, waffles, and how you rank them? Because I have French toast 1, waffles 2, pancakes 3. Although I would add really elite pancakes are better than the best version of waffles. But just like middle of the road, all 3 of those things give me French toast, waffles, and pancakes.
So I flip 1 and 2 for me, and then
you go
pancakes
waffles
are
number 1.
Yeah, I'm a big I like waffles.
Are you like a strawberries and whipped cream on your Belgian waffle guy? Or are we talking Eggos? What are we doing here? Butter and syrup.
I'll eat. Yeah, I'll eat it all. Just put some butter and a lot of syrup on it, and I'm good. It could be Eggo. It could be a Belgian one from a restaurant. Doesn't matter.
Have you been to Waffle House? They sell waffles there.
Yes, you know that I have.
Do you not like it?
Their waffles are not that good. They're too thin.
They are thin. It's true.
And it's and I mean, again, to quote Daniel, all due respect, like it's just Waffle House, and I know that hurts you, but it is just Waffle House.
It's great. It's a vibe. Waffle House. This is actually interesting. Waffle House is like my version of the people who like s'mores. It's. Do I actually like the food at Waffle House? Probably not as much as I think, but I like the idea of Waffle House. I like what Waffle House represents. I like the type of food they serve. The food itself, probably not that great, but this is me being hypocritical. For all the reasons I don't like s'mores, I think I like Waffle House for all the exact same reasons. So I think I'm just needing to have some self-reflection and own that a little bit.
Yeah, you need to figure it out, Jeff. Manual demands answers from you. Get your food stuff sorted out.
Jay Teaser says, hot take, camping itself isn't as fun as you think. You strike me as a guy that doesn't like camping.
Nope, you got that.
You ever slept in a tent before?
No. I've done like a wasn't a camper, but basically like a retrofitted kind of like mobile home, I guess. This was like 25 years ago or something.
Never been in a tent. That's crazy.
No. I have no desire to do it. And it's not like, well, I get hot easily, so I just like I need an air conditioner. I like sports. I need to be able to watch TV before I go to bed. So it's not happening.
It's amazing. I was an Eagle Scout. Am an Eagle Scout. That's a fun fact about me. A lot of people don't know. So there you go.
I don't think I knew that.
I can camp. I don't like, especially with small kids now. I don't love it. Once I'm there, I usually enjoy it. But the idea of like being dirty and having to use crappy public showers and all that kind of thing. But backpacking's great. So yeah.
Yeah. See, so Hawaiian Kira says I need glamping. Yes, like I'll do like a hike thing, I guess, if you will, go walking in the woods is like that. I'm okay with that as long as I can then go back to a hotel after the fact and sleep comfortably at night. So yes,
it's
Hawaiian
fair.
Kira has me figured out.
Somebody asked if I'd ever tried the original Pancake House, which is from Portland. Oh yeah, here we go. Have you ever been to the original Pancake House in Portland? I have. The original Pancake House, not IHOP, to be clear. It's like a chain now. I believe they have them in Southern California. Have you been to this?
I have seen them. I didn't know that they were that big of a chain. I've never been.
I don't think it's huge, but I don't know. They've got some number, but the original one's in Portland. Fantastic. Very, very good. So it's it's what I got for you. So, all right. I think that's what I got. I think that's all we got. The Dodgers won today. They won 2 out of 3. Vibes are up and to the right.
Winning road trip, won the series, 2 shutouts in that little ballpark.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think we're ready to roll, Matt. I know the Padres can't lose, and so the Dodgers divisional lead remains at 3. But I guess they lost yesterday.
Yes, I will say we had a ton of people telling us yesterday after the Dodgers lost that this was just great because the lead was in the division was down to, it was basically 2. Dodgers lost. They were up 2.5 still. They said, it's down to 2 games already. They're playing the Cardinals. The Cardinals are terrible. And then you look at what happens and Padres lost. And so it's actually 3 games. And not that the Dodgers are running away with it by any means, but again, just another reminder that sometimes as obvious as things seem, that's just not how baseball pans out.
Yeah. Glasnow, Sheehan, Ohtani on the mound against the Cardinals this upcoming week. Then they get an off day. Kershaw, Snell, and Yamamoto against the Blue Jays over the weekend. So
yeah, so this is where, I mean, to sort of geolocate myself, I may or may not have been driving through Whittier at one point in my life, and I did see an original pancake house. And so, like I said, I didn't know that really it was beyond that location type thing.
Yeah, it's good. It's very, very good. So strongly encourage anybody to go check that out. So that is Matthew Moreno. I am Jeff Spiegel. As we have said, please subscribe, ring the notification bell. Thank you to the podcast people, Apple, Spotify, Google. Go find the DodgerHeads podcast, rate, review. We would greatly appreciate that. DodgerHeads1958 on Twitter, on Instagram, and of course, DodgerBlue.com. Tons of great content. And as we've been saying lately, we have an app. So go ahead, download the Dodger Blue app, get all of our content in one place, and enjoy everything that we have to offer. That is Matt. I am Jeff. Folks, enjoy the rest of your night. We will be back on Tuesday. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.